Hi, this is Randy Finney with Right Side of the Chart, and today is Wednesday, July 31st, 2019. Last trading day of the month. We have the Fed on deck, FOMC announcement at 2 p.m. Eastern, so expect just a lot of grind back and forth in the markets, and then expect volatility afterwards as the market tries to digest what the Fed does with rates and, more importantly, what they say going forward. So I always say it's a chop fest after that. Don't make any knee-jerk reactions to the initial reaction of what it goes on in the market. And but the point of this video is not to talk about the market so much. It's just to update trade ideas, and I'm going to keep it simple. I'm only going to focus on the trade ideas that I've covered on at least one, if not multiple occasions recently. In fact, all of these that I'll go through, and I'll streamline this one more. I know a lot of the recent videos have been up, almost 40 minutes long. I'll do this one quicker. I'm just highlighted some of the ones that I've focused on recently. We'll start out here with natural gas. And a couple things on this, by the way. You get these posts if you're a member of the site. You should receive notifications as soon as they're published. An email should go out. You should have it within a couple minutes of it being published. As I always say, don't forget to come into the site. You can get the emails. Sometimes if I have single charts like these, they will show on the email alerts. Other time, if I add multiple charts, there could be two, three, a string of 2, 3, 4, 5 together. It's called a gallery image. It's not going to come through on the email alerts normally because it wouldn't fit right. All the charts on the site, by the way, if you're new to the site, when you hover, you see how it the shades, you get that shaded color. Click and it will expand no matter how small the charts. So if you see a series of 3, 4, 5 charts together and they're pretty small, or for whatever reason you want to take a look at a chart, kind of dig in, click, it will expand. If you don't have a scroll wheel on your mouse, I highly suggest you get one. If you do, what I'm doing is scrolling here back and forth with my scroll wheel, zoom in, pan around. I want to see what is that, what did he write right here. If you can't make it out, NG appears poised to break out above the price channel, which would trigger an objective long entry. So you can, kind of zero in on levels, replicate these charts yourself. And so I'll start here with this trade. And also, again, what I said in the comments section below and on here is that I threw this out here as an unofficial trade because I'd mentioned this quite a bit. I've been watching natural gas. It was in last night's update. Watch for a break of that downtrend line. And then when I saw it starting to pick up some momentum this morning and approaching that downtrend line, try to get this out to you guys as quick as possible. I also very disciplined. I keep things consistent as far as the official trade ideas go, and that is I will always only use ETFs, individual stocks, or ETFs or ETNs as the official proxies because I understand a lot of retail traders, a lot of you listening to my voice do not have a futures account, whether you don't have the experience, the capital requirements because they are leveraged, or whatever other reason. Now I often mention futures along with an ETN if they're, because a lot of people do trade futures, myself included, and that's what the ETNs are tracking. So I wanted to say that this, I didn't add it as an official trade. I said I might depending on how it went, but what happens is I posted, these charts were screenshotted at 8:22 in the morning before the market opens. They're time stamped down on the bottom, and then as I suspected it might, once this rising wedge here broke on natural gas futures, which is all that UGAS is holding. It's tracking nat gas futures. Everything exploded. Here, I'll show you that chart. You've probably got the updates by now. Let's find it down here somewhere. There we go. Here's the chart. So you can see this is a case of, and this is the nature of this beast. It doesn't always do this, but I can tell you this has happened so many times that I can't even recall whether it's, I've seen this happen 30, 40, 50, or 100 times in natural gas. It is the nature of this beast. And so, I'm constantly posting setups long and short on this in the trading room. I like to trade this one because fewer commodities, very fewer futures contracts, period, can put such quick gains in your pocket as natural gas. Why? Because natural gas is a very, very volatile energy. It has to do with the fact that storage and all that, you have to pipe it, and it's got to go in a pipeline, can't store. So natural gas prices are very volatile, but it also trades well to the technicals. As you can see, these trend lines, these divergent highs, divergent lows, trend line breaks, and everything else. So again, because this ripped, and by the time the market opened, which is when I would add an official trade. And by the way, getting to my point here, I don't use the after hours session for entries and exits, although I'll mention it. And I did do that this morning in this trade here. That where was it? That at the time, natural gas, right after it broke out, was trading with minimal spreads. And see, there's a lot of little nuances with trading in the after hours and pre-market session, and that's why I don't use the official trades. Whether a price target's hit or a stop is hit in after hours, it doesn't count. Now, you should certainly use that. I always encourage you to use, if a price target is hit in the after hours session, I like to exit a trade, a stock there, if my preferred target's hit. However, on the flip side, I don't like to use if my stop is crossed, because after hours you see volatile trading, there's no market orders, the big boys aren't on the field, it's mostly retail traders, the big institutions can't maneuver, there's just not enough liquidity with most stocks in the after hours session. So those are just kind of tidbits, but if you know what you're doing and you know how to trade in after hours, you can't use a market order. You need to use a limit order to buy it. But you could have jumped on this trade in UGAS, and now it is up on the day 18%. But from where we broke out, where I posted in pre-market, I don't know. I think that's about a 10, maybe a little better than a 10% gain so far. And you can see I wanted to update it. We're already halfway to my final target. That's my max swing target. This was the first target that was hit. We had the typical reaction around there, a couple candles consolidated, and it kept going right on through there. So I wanted to update this trade, and again point out that I have a lot of comments below these posts. So when you get those, if you're interested or if you take the trade, and that wasn't the only one, I posted a follow-up trade here. And so these are called threaded comments. You have the original post and then comments down below, questions by other members, similar to what happens in the trading room. If I post a setup or somebody else does, and a lot of people are looking at it, trading it, you'll see the nested comments below and different things. So and like I said, I'll often post updates along the way. So if you come into the site or if you get those emails and you read it, you like the trade, I would again encourage you to come into the site, check that post, refresh the page once in a while to look for any updates. Trading Room will automatically refresh or tell you when there's new posts there. All right, let's move on to the next one. And before I leave that natural gas, let me just say this, that the ship has sailed. I did say that in one of those comments. Somebody asked about it, and I probably will not be adding this back as an official or even an unofficial trade soon. It's just sometimes you get these quick runs. And like I said, my preference, I like to set trailing stops when I see an explosive move, because natural gas redefines the word or the term overbought. It's just, again, the nature of this beast. It redefines oversold on the way down. Just when you think it can't drop anymore, it keeps going. And sometimes just when you think it can't rise anymore, it just keeps going. So you can either book profits at these targets, or when they get hit, that's what I like to do, especially a day like today. Just, boom, 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 just keep ratcheting your stops up, let it go. But I can tell you, if it gets near that 230 level, I'm out. And also the inventory report, as I said, is tomorrow at 10:30. Unless something got leaked out today. I mean, I don't know what the news is, but it's a nice move. All right, enough on that. I didn't mean to spend so much time on one trade. I just kind of wanted to throw out how the site works, how the trade ideas work, and unofficial or official. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't get it out to you, especially on a front page post. Those are usually my favorite picks. I've been watching this one and posting updates in the trading room and in the nightly videos. So let's move on to a related trade, CHK. Probably before I get into that, because that one's really not going yet, has the potential. I posted, you probably would have already received a front page post on it, an update by email. But I posted in the trading room, actually in response to a member that asked about a couple of the nat gas stocks last week, and said it needs to take out that 178 level as well as a downtrend line, which it did. So it is starting to move. Big, nice bullish divergences, and as I mentioned in the trading room, it's a risky stock when you trade these low-priced energy stocks. Many energy stocks in the recent years have gone to the wayside, meaning Chapter 11 bankruptcy with the collapse in energy prices. So the risk is there. But I went ahead with this because I'd like to get in and out. They report, they're scheduled to report, if this is accurate, next week, August 6th, before the market opens. And with the momentum in the energy sector, now you want to look at not XLE. You could do that. That's XLE is these are the big integrated oil producers, your Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, those kind of big companies, BP and whatnot. Then you have XOP. That's exploration and production, bullish looking chart, and that's why I'm doing this video, because I'm sharing these ideas. Big divergent low. Let's look at a little trend line right here, wedge type pattern. This one's ready to pop. May have another reaction on this wedge here, but you can see the nice strong bullish divergence. I like this setup. And then you have XES. So these are your three big energy sectors. XOP is the biggest ETF, XES and or XOP, and then XES. And this one also looks very nice, just like XOP. So those two would be my favorite, XOP and XES. Now, why did I say it's related? Well, a lot of these is oil and gas. You know, these are companies that pull both crude. Many of them pull both crude and natural gas, because nat gas comes out with crude. You know, most of the wells. So, you know, these companies are usually doing a little of both. And we see, as I just showed you, natural gas breaking out and ripping today. Very impulsive move. And you can see here, there's a target up here about 972. We're coming up to resistance, but a pretty nice basing pattern and a very strong divergent low. And you guys probably know, I mean, there's a lot more that goes into my, you know, analysis, but the simple part, I like, you know, keep things relatively simple and just be patient and wait for these divergent lows and divergent highs to catch these major trends. So that one gave you that run right there in XES, which, by the way, this is a diversified ETF. I mentioned this as a proxy if you don't want to trade Chesapeake because it's low price, more aggressive. Maybe it doesn't take off, and most of the stocks do. But that was a 38% gain there. If you shorted at that divergent high, well, that wasn't the sell signal. The sell signal came on a break of this wedge, and that was a 35% drop. So wash, rinse, repeat stuff. This time I don't have a clean downtrend line. I can add one here. Put it like that, and yeah, that would give us a, yeah, it's actually not bad. Enough reactions, breakout today, but we do have resistance above. And if we can get some traction here, I'm gonna give you another target, right about, give or take, we'll call it about right there. So here's a potential trade idea, breaking out today. Crude has been moving up recently, and so again, when you see crude and natural gas rally, these guys rally. And I could go through the charts. I'll just show you some in this ETF that are up today and show you what I'm talking about, momentum, and why I added Chesapeake. SLCA, this is up 13.5% today, just the last 2 days alone from where the stock closed the previous session. The stock's gained 44%. Now, you know, I'm just going through the big gainers. I'll tell you that right now, at least today's gainers. But you can see this is what I call momentum. This is why, you know, I picked one, threw it out there, but I also am giving you the ETF if you want to just take a shotgun approach, go with the ETF. Or you can, and I'll be going through these today. It's going to take a while, and I have not had time to go through all the individual components. But you can see these guys often trade well to the technical. Steep downtrend line, boom, breakout. There's a rising wedge, breakdown, back test. Excuse me, back test. Divergent low right there, big rally. So good stuff. That's what I'm seeing right now. Momentum, bullish charts, everything you like to see. Hence the reason I'm doing this video. And again, there's just so many trade ideas. This is a much more efficient way for me to cover them all. It takes a long time to screenshot charts, mark up all the levels, especially on the official trades. And that's why lately I've been posting a lot of unofficial trades. And I make pretty clear which ones are actionable, meaning, you know, buy now, which ones are a setup, meaning they may trigger an entry if it crosses this or that price or does this or that, you know, breaks out here. And then I also try to make mention which ones stand out to me as some of my favorites, and then you guys decide what to go with. All right, so that's it. I'll dig through the energy stocks a little more later. Let me run through some of the individual stocks and trade ideas that I've covered in recent videos. I'm going to talk fast, guys, for two reasons. I want to keep the video short. I'm also been actively trading today. I've been swinging the indexes back and forth. Natural gas is, I'm watching that, just trailing. I'm just trailing stops up, and I need to continue to trail my stop up if I'm not stopped out before the video is over. A couple other things, but I want to go over some of these trade ideas, and again, I'm going to talk quick. But all of these that I'm going through were covered in recent videos. Especially look at the, just over the last week or so, go to the home page when you're logged in and look for any of the trade ideas. You can go to the unofficial trade ideas category, click on that on the site, and let me show you where to get to that. Here's the top menu right here, trade ideas. If you go to unofficial trade ideas, click on that, and you'll see a lot of the videos and the unofficial trade ideas that I posted recently. Under there, and then you can go and click in, and let's say, for example, here's the latest video from yesterday right there. Click on that, it'll open the video. Okay, back to the charts. Cato broke out of the falling wedge, and had a little, pull back. It was a pretty strong move up. Needs to take out that recent high. It's testing that previous reaction high right here. If it does, that's still the first target zone, second target zone. So again, all these were covered, so I'm just going to breeze over them. CBDS, cannabis, sativa. Breakout, hit the first target, went halfway to my second target, pull back, offered another objective long entry on the back test, rallied up again. This low price sucker, but that swing from that last back test has a 30% gain right there. The first one was, I think, also a 30% or so gain. So a lot of juice. You don't need a lot of capital into that one to make a lot of money. And that also, if you keep your position size small, it helps keep you in the trade, not shake you out. MJ is related because that's the MJ, marijuana ETF. That's our official trade idea. So far, so good. I'm not, I'm not excited about this. It's not one of my favorite, but I still like it. Subjective entry, and it's taken out this minor downtrend line today, which is good, and recovered back above that 2809 level. So still looks good, and still an official trade. VGR was mentioned in some of the recent videos. It's had a nice pop since it broke out of here. Downtrend line, first target hit, almost to the second. It's having a little pullback today, but that 1256 would still be the final target on that one. Then probably if it hits that, get out. PAYX. Here's one that has not yet broken out. Need to check earnings on it. Haven't done it. It's another tobacco stock. As you can see, just a beautiful little falling wedge pattern that has, again, yet to trigger, but there's two ways. You can also go long. This looks a lot like the natural gas 60-minute chart I posted last night. We had some recent lows. Here, I'll show you that in a minute. And that's support. So there's two objective times to go long a stock. You either go long on a pullback to support, which you could have bought this one recently at and I believe that's where I highlighted it, around 1237 or so. Nice divergent low. And or you wait for a breakout. And or means, if you took a position there, maybe a starter half position, take the second half on a breakout, and then swing it up to any or all of these targets. But of course, make sure you check for earnings. I haven't done that yet on this one, or at least put it up here. You don't want to buy a stock the day before it reports and then find out, gaps against you. But once earnings out of the way, if you have a breakout, that gives you a green light there. That's PAYX. GNC starting to move. I told you that was one of my favorites, considered, for potential official trade idea. Up about 10% today. Took out the downtrend line here a couple days ago. Breakout, impulsive candle, nice volume. You can see the nice volume bar. So that's a confirmation of the breakout, and so far follow through. It consolidated for a couple days there. Little bull flag type action, flagging sideways, and now it's broke out above the flag. And the only reason it's not an official trade now, well, we do have, no, the earnings are a while away from now, not till October. But on this one, we have it coming up to the downtrend line right now. This is a weekly downtrend line. So this is a longer term bullish chart. If it can break out of this uptrend or downtrend line on the weekly, you can see all the potential targets, maybe even all the way up here to 1032. So just one to watch for now. At the very least, you can swing it up to that 239-ish level and or the trend line, and that 200-day or 40-week EMA, that red line there. That could be an initial target if you're long this one from the breakout the other day. Again, it's been mentioned in the last couple videos, as as have all these stocks, again, as swing trade videos. THC, Tenet Healthcare, that one was also mentioned, I believe, in the wedge, already broke out. If it wasn't, it was mentioned right afterwards on the breakout there. It's powered through the 2278 target. It's halfway up to the 2514 target. Nice, strong, bullish divergent low, so it gives me pretty high degree of confidence it'll get there, unless the market somehow gets clobbered here soon. But maybe a pullback would be your next objective entry down to 278. It's in what I call no man's land now. It's what I call a stock when it's trading smack between support and resistance, which this one is. So if you're in it, just keep your stops maybe a little bit below that support level if it pulls back, and let it run. Try to hit that 2514 target, and maybe quite possibly more, 3153, or set your sell limit a little below. If you're targeting 3153, that's the actual resistance. You'd want to sell it around 3125, 3140, somewhere in there. Depends on how close you want to get to that target. But again, another one that's doing well so far. Merrimack Pharmaceuticals, same story, broke out of the bullish falling wedge, has moved up, hit my first target at 650, consolidated there for a little bit, and it's above it now, and next target's there, 744, so looking good so far. Should have the divergence line there, now I do. DF, this one's moving today. Member in the trading room pointed it out. It's been covered in recent videos. Nice, clean, bullish divergent low, breakout, back test. And I said, here's an uptrend line. You can either buy it off on pullbacks too, or use that as a stop if you're long this one, set a stop below it. But it's now clearly taken out that 129 resistance level, and so any pullback to that level or the trend line would offer another objective entry, again with a stop below, to swing this one up to that $2 level, maybe more. If it starts to head over to $2, I'll revisit the chart. If it still looks constructive, I'll zoom out to the weekly chart and see if we might be able to hold that one out for more than that. And that would be a pretty nice gain from $1.29 to $2. That's a nice return percentage wise. OMI, Owens and Minor, falling wedge, hasn't broken out yet. I need to check earnings, but again, 270-ish is your first resistance, then the downtrend line. If it pops above there, it should run up here. And again, that's even a tradable move. It doesn't look like much, but when you're trading low price stocks, you get a 10, 20 cents, 30 cents on a $3 stock. That's a decent gain. So let's just keep an eye on that one. It hasn't really triggered a buy signal yet. ADP, not one of my favorites, and now it's starting to move back above this trend line. I mentioned it here before, but it has earnings. It had earnings today. So again, this is why it wasn't an actionable trade. You don't want to take these right before earnings. It broke down. This is the primary uptrend line right here. It broke down, it's been back testing, kind of slicing through it. I have a minor downtrend line which has also been sliced through. So it's trading erratically, and that's another thing I'm not crazy about it. When you have all these whipsaws, you're trading through support and resistance, you're going to get those whipsaw signals, and so better fish to fry right now. But I'll keep an eye on it. If it reverses, moves down well below the wedge, right now it's the post earnings noise, I call it. And sometimes, and a lot of times, these stocks will break down and then they just fall, and sometimes they break down and they backtest, and sometimes they backtest again, and then finally the big move comes. So I'm certainly keeping it on my radar, just not actionable right now. I want to see a little more evidence. BYND, talked on this one recently. It's backtesting the trend line right now, right around there. I still think it heads lower. Yeah, that doji candle there, followed by two big red candles, trend line break, and let's see how it handles this within. It's a little bit above the trend line now, but let's see how it closes the day. And if it closes slightly above it, not a big deal. If you print a big green candle way back above it, that'd be pretty bullish. But again, I already told you what my plan is with this one. And half of you out there or more probably can't even find the shares to short. Most brokers don't have the shares available, so it might be a moot point even if you like the setup. ADP, I already covered that. Nope, I'm going to Intel. I'm watching the semis. I mentioned that today. Intel, ran up here to that 5307-ish level. That was that huge gap right there from back in April. key resistance. It was overbought, rejection there after following earnings as well, but it's coming up on support, so I wouldn't short it here yet. It's just one I'm watching as the industry leader. And then AMD reported today, and this one had a nice breakdown. Remember, I did a video on the semis recently. You had a high back here, divergent high. This is resistance. This whole area keeps coming up here, so you have negative divergence at the high. You had the stock at resistance, and you had a clean up trend line right here, which now, thanks to earnings today not going the way that the company wanted it to go, we have a clean breakdown. That's a sell signal on AMD. So you could short it here. You could wait if you get a back test or maybe a partial position. But remember, semis tend to move together. Not all sectors, not all stocks within a sector have a tight correlation, but semis usually have a pretty tight correlation. In other words, birds of a feather flock together. So if you want to put the odds in your favor, you wait for some half decent signs of a trend reversal, meaning a sell signal on the semis, the ETFs, SOXX, XSD, SMH. Right now we don't have that, so a short on AMD has a higher probability of failing. This breakdown has a higher probability of failing until we can get some pretty decent sell signals on the semis themselves, like SOXX. And there's SOXX. There's a downtrend line. Again, it was covered in a video recently. So it's still above trend. PPO is rolling over, poised to make a high-level bearish PPO crossover. I like to see those for shorts. Here's a high-level bearish PPO crossover. Here's a high-level bearish PPO crossover. You can see what happens. Here's a high-level bearish PPO crossover, and you get the picture. You can see where I'm going with this. So those are things I look for. Overbought. Last time we were this overbought was right here. Wash, rinse, repeat. Last time before that was right here. Wash, rinse, repeat. That was easily a double-digit drop. So if you were to short it today, I started scaling into this recently. I think it's objective. You just don't want to have a full position yet till you get that sell signal, and then you go to full position. Which, by the way, a full position, when I say a full position, that is just a small piece of the pie of my total portfolio that I plan to allocate to shorting semis or going long gold or whatever it is. That does not mean 100% of my account in any one trade. That is financial suicide. So please understand when I say a full position, and what that is, it's up to you whether you're going to take go long or short the semis and make it 3% of your portfolio or 30% of the portfolio. Probably somewhere in between the two, but that's up to every trader. I just wanted to say what I'm referring to as a full position, and I talk about scaling in or building positions, as ideally as the charts start to confirm. Most professional traders will average up on a position, meaning, on a long position, if it starts going their way, they don't average down. Likewise, on a short, you short, and you don't keep digging yourself in a hole. You add if this position starts to go your way. That's again what most professionals do versus the retail traders that tend to average down because they think they're lowering their cost basis, but they realize they're building a position that's not going their way, and therefore they shouldn't be doing that. You're just digging yourself deeper in a hole in most cases. And with the one exception, if I predetermine that I'm going to scale into something, I will then add if it goes against me, if it was again part of a predetermined plan. But I don't just keep adding to a losing position for the sake of trying to lower my cost, if that makes sense. All right, a couple more. LXU, talked about these chemical stocks lately. It's holding up nice. It's holding above that 498 level. Still needs to get up to this downtrend line. We'll probably get a decent reaction, and we'll go from there. Let me see if there's any of the other chemicals I should update, because this one, again, trains left the station. If you didn't catch it when I highlighted it back here, it's already gone up. I have to look where I highlighted. I can't remember if it was below the 328 level or what, but this somewhere in there. It's gone up 60, 70% or more from where I highlighted it just a couple weeks ago. FF was another chemical stock. Reports on the 9th. I just covered this one recently. RAYM is going to report tomorrow after the market closes, if that's correct. And this is, again, one of my favorites. Chart indicates will probably go up. Could go either way, so if you take it before, again, what I did, I take a shotgun approach when I like a sector, scatter my money among several positions, including this one, but I take partial positions. If earnings are out of the way, I can increase this to a full position once earnings are out of the way, if it goes my way. Otherwise, I get stopped out, and I didn't have a full position. I didn't gamble, because a stock like this, a low price stock, volatile stock, can gap up or down easily double digits, and that can bypass even the best place stops. So just keep that in mind. HUN, like I said, it's holding up on that trend line. I covered it yesterday, I think, in yesterday's video, so it still has potential. EMN, covered it yesterday again, divergent high. It's below that trend line, so I'm not crazy about that now. VHI is not one that's standing out right now. SQM has a few weeks before it reports, back testing right now on the trend line. If it makes a low, it'll be a divergent low. We'll have something look like this if the indicators continue to move lower, and then it could reverse. So this is more of a setup. I wouldn't, it's not showing me any reason to buy it right now or to increase the position. I can't tell you if I have this one or not. I may have a position. I don't have all my accounts up. I'm going to move that trend line now. So if you notice, I just adjusted for a better fit. Captures that reaction high, and it captures all these. So you had just an intraday breakout, but it's failed to close. So there's your trend line. In fact, I am going to set an alert on that trend line right now, so it tells me if and when the stock pops at next time. MEOH, same thing, bullish falling wedge, reports today after the market closes. So here's one to watch for tomorrow, or if you want to take a speculative position. There's not strong momentum in the sector like for example, like those energy stocks, but there is some of these stocks are starting to move, like LXU, like I showed you. And here's one that's actually looking more bearish, or at least toppy. I wouldn't chase it. In fact, I might look at this as a short trade. Looks like they already reported, but it's still above trend. So there's a potential short trade in the chemical sector. And, it's a way to hedge your bets too. If you're long a couple chemical stocks, you go short the most bearish, long the most bullish, and you're somewhat hedged. It's not a direct hedge, but a somewhat of a hedge. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. 30 minutes, a little longer than I wanted to go, but at least I got it in quicker than the other ones. And again, I focused on the ones that stand out now. I'm not going to go through every single trade idea I've covered in the last few weeks. That would take an hour or more. But those are the ones I'm watching, and that's where my focus is. Trading the market. Just a quick word on that. Volatility is reached, not record lows, but it's close to it. There's all types of stats that I'm seeing now coming out about the low volatility, and what I'm trying to say is there's no money to be made in the market now unless you're a very active, nimble trader. You can trade futures, leverage, day trade in and out, hit these levels, but as far as swing trading, nobody's making money in this market, bulls or bears. I mean, generally speaking, I'm talking for last, for months now. The market's been inching higher, so this is where the big money is. The energy stocks, the natural gas, whatever individual stocks are moving, or individual sectors. I mean, this is just a sector ETF, XES, which I started with. It's up almost 3% today. As I said on the NG trade today, I've made as much on NG today, and it's leveraged up too, as the entire stock market has done in nearly almost a year and a half. The stock market is like 4%, 4.5% or something from where it was back in January of 2018. And again, that's, just shows you that to beat the market, you don't trade the market. You trade the best looking stock sectors, commodities, and and there's that. Believe me, my eye is on the market, and the next opportunity to swing trade, QQQ, SPY, IWM, I will certainly put that out there if I see it. Maybe it comes soon after the Fed, maybe not. But let's wrap this up here, and again, I'll do a closing market update on the stock market after we close today. This has been Randy Finney with Right Side of the Chart. Hope you enjoyed it.